again. Yeah, there it is. Make it stop.
Thank you. Friends, we have a couple more minutes before we convene, so enjoy yourselves until then.
Can we do the video again? Do our moves.
Dance number?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do. This Friday, for 7. I broke it out. Is that what that was for? 2 days later, here I am again.
Good job. Thank you, Amy.
Tony's gonna bring it up when everybody comes up there.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Tom? Was the rolling chair supposed to replace this other one?
No.
Renata,
You're my hero.
Okay, so I was gonna say,
do you want to do Gun Violence Awareness Day?
And theirs come up.
okay, nope.
Thank you.
National Public Works Week.
Absolutely. Want me to do Asian American Pacific Islanders?
You gonna do it?
Public Works Week.
Want to do Asian American Pacific?
Take a look at that real quick.
Mine's is not updated. Yeah, you're gonna have to bring it down
It's not really working. Let's try again.
to the chair.
Good evening, good evening. I would like to call this meeting of the Durham City Council to order for May the 20th, 2019, the day before a very special birthday, I should add. And I certainly want to welcome everyone here tonight. We're so glad to see everyone on what promises to be a very special night. Now I would ask you to please join me in a moment of silent meditation. Thank you. And now I'll ask Councilmember Reese if he would please lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone, colleagues and members of the audience. If you're able to do so, and if it's your practice, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Council Member. And Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Schul,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Austin,
Here.
Councilmember Caballero,
Here.
Councilmember Freeman,
Present.
Councilmember Middleton,
Here.
Councilmember Reese.
Here.
I want to just say we're pleased that our Deputy Clerk, Ms. Wyatt, is going to be soloing it, well, along with Laverne Brooks tonight. Our clerk is at a conference, Ashley, and we're pleased that you all are here to fill in, so thank you so much. And we'll now proceed with our ceremonial items. Our first ceremonial item tonight is the Neighbor Spotlight Award, and for this, I would like to invite Ms. Hazeline Umstead and any friends or family that she would like to have up here with her to come on up. All right, let me get the right document here. I don't seem to have it, so I'm going to do it. I know Ms. Umstead very well, and I'm going to do it from memory, okay? Oh, you're holding it right? Okay. Oh, no, I know about, I'll read this and then I'll tell you a little more. Hazeline Umstead is the recipient of the Neighborhood Spotlight Award in recognition of valuable contributions to Lyon Park. She encourages involvement in the Lyon Park Neighborhood Association, where she has served as president for over 20 years. She advocates to local officials to improve the safety and appearance of her community. She hosts entertaining parties at her house to build fellowship between residents and community leaders. And I will tell you a little bit more about her. I have been several times to Ms. Umstead's house because she's an incredible advocate for her neighborhood. She had me out recently. She walked me down to the park, talked to me about the lighting that was necessary in that park, talked to me about some of the issues that they were having in the park, and that's the kind of person that she is. She's an incredible advocate. Many years at National Night Out, we have all assembled at Ms. Umstead's, where there's always, for National Night Out, we have 100 probably neighborhoods that are doing wonderful things, but Ms. Umstead's house is the one that everybody really wants to go to. So she is an amazing champion for her neighborhood and for Durham. And Ms. Umstead, before you come up, I want to ask if there are friends of hers who would like to raise their hand or stand up to be recognized as well.
Well, just let me be me. And I would like to give the highest praise. Hallelujah. I thank God for my life, for being here tonight. Thank him because he is the man in my life, and he's the man in my life that helps me and motivates me to do what I do for the community. And I thank God for our mayor. Sure, he is a beautiful person. He came to my house when we walked in the park. It made me feel so special. And I thank God for each of you all that has allowed me to get this honor. I'm very proud of that. Words can never express how wonderful I feel about receiving this. And you just encourage me and motivate me to do more and more. And I thank God for my church members and all of my friends being here. And I'm telling you, I'm looking for a raise for Miss Laura and Mr. Lord have mercy.
Mr. Best.
Mr. Bell. He is so beautiful. He will come anywhere to get you. He'll help you when you're in the community. He'll help you in your home. Oftentimes, the way I met him, one day he came to my house, and I told him I had prayer in my house from 12 to 1. And we started praying together. So we got right. And I praise God for all of you and all of your kindness that you have showed to me tonight. Words can never express it. All I can say is hallelujah and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, now you understand why she's so special. It really is. We now have another very special moment, and I'm going to ask our public historian, Eddie Davis, if he will come forward and lead us in our next presentation. Eddie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council members, city staffers, and audience. In about 5 hours from now, the date will be May 21st, 2019. For all practical purposes, in most other locations, when the clock strikes midnight, it will just be Tuesday. However, for folks here in Durham, tomorrow, May 21st, will mark the 100th birthday of our friend and our former mayor, Robert Wenzel Wentz Grabaric. Earlier tonight, the Durham 150 Convening Committee sponsored a Centennial Cupcake Party in the lobby. Also, WTVD, ABC 11, approved the re-airing of a famous television interview that focused on the landmark racial integration changes that were negotiated and influenced by a committee that was led by Mayor Grabaric in the spring of 1963. Now, during this sesquicentennial history moment, we would like to ask former mayors to come and to stand behind the chair of honor. We'd like to ask Mayor William Bell, Bill Bell, if he would come and hand the chair. We'd like to ask Mayor Nick Tennyson to stand behind the chair. We'd like to ask Mayor Sylvia Kirkhoff to proceed to the Mayor Wib Gully sends his regrets that his absence is due to an unforeseen commitment. Now it is fitting and appropriate that we ask our current city leader, Mayor Steve Schewel, to accompany Mayor Grabaric to the seat of honor. Before I ask Mayor Schewel to offer a few introductory comments, I'd like to ask the family and friends of Mayor Grabaric to stand. Now, Mayor Schewel, the honor is yours.
Thank you, Eddie. Wow, what a great family. What a great big family. It's wonderful to have you all here. And this is a very special occasion. I'm going to begin by saying something that Mayor Tennyson reminded me of before I talk about the contributions of Mayor Grabaric to Durham. Mayor Tennyson reminded me that not only has Mayor Grabaric served Durham, but he served our country. And he fought in the Battle of the Bulge. As many of you all know, this was the German counterattack after D-Day, one of the fiercest battles of the war. And so we owe Mayor Grabaric lots of debts of gratitude, and that's just one of them. When I was getting my remarks together, I looked at some things that Eddie Davis had written, and I decided I could not improve upon them. So I'm stealing my remarks from Eddie, and in a minute you will see why. Wentz Grabaric was elected by Durham voters on Saturday, May 18th, 1963, to his first term as mayor. On that very same day, mass demonstrations advocating for the end of racial segregation at restaurants, movie theaters, hotels, and other public accommodations occurred in Durham. These demonstrations led to the arrest of hundreds of black citizens during rallies at numerous local restaurants, at City Hall, and at the county courthouse. On Sunday, May 19th, 1963, the black demonstrators continued their quest for equality and were met by a set of white counter-demonstrators. Not wanting to see Durham join those areas that had experienced violence and bloodshed, Mayor-elect Grabaric went to the site of the demonstrations and conferred with black leaders, Floyd McKissick, and Hugh Thompson. Through consultation and negotiations with Attorney McKissick, Attorney Thompson, Ms. Bessie McLaurin, Police Chief W.W. Pleasance, and others, arrangements were made to provide food and cigarettes for the arrested demonstrators. At that point, dialogue began for the initiation of biracial meetings to discuss a resolution to the concerns of the demonstrators. On Monday, May 20th, 1963, now let me just remind you, this was just 2 days after he was elected mayor. Reince Grabarek took the oath of office and officially became the mayor of Durham. 2 days later, the new mayor announced the appointment of a biracial group called Durham's Interim Committee. The work of the Interim Committee began immediately. However, civil rights rallies and demonstrations continued. Without an invitation, Mayor Grabarek attended a joint meeting of the NAACP, the Durham Committee on Negro Affairs, and other groups at St. Joseph's AME Church on May 23, 1963. Mayor Grabarek rose and spoke to the mass gathering on that evening and asked that the demonstrations be suspended while the work of the Durham Interim Committee progressed. The mayor received an agreement to his proposal and a standing ovation from the audience. A CBS News film crew was covering civil rights activities across the South and included this rally at St. Joseph Church. This crew captured the mayor's remarks and the audience's reaction. On the next day, May 24th, that footage from the rally appeared on the national broadcast of Eyewitness to History with Charles Collingwood. The commentary portion of the program contrasted Durham's approach, the cooperation of the races, and the leadership of Mayor Grabarek to other approaches that were taking place in other portions of America. On June 4th, 1963, after meeting for 11 days, the Durham Interim Committee held a live local television press conference to offer its report to the City Council and the Durham community. In summary, the report stated the following. Durham, North Carolina is pleased to announce that in a completely voluntary action of all hotel and motel operators and a substantial number of food service operators on this date, authorize the Durham Interim Committee to announce that they will serve their customers without regard to race. In addition, the leading businesses in Durham have agreed to employ citizens without regard to race. All tax-supported units of government will similarly make all facilities and services available without regard to race. Upon a request by the White House, a copy of the Durham Interim Committee report was sent by a Western Union telegram to President John Fitzgerald Kennedy via his assistant, Mr. Henry Hall Wilson. Durham's fortnight of fortitude in late May and early June of 1963 came before the March on Washington in August of 1963 and in advance of the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. However, Mayor Grabarek's 4 two-year terms should also be remembered for other things. The annexation and development of Crosdale, the annexation of Hope Valley, the rezoning and development of South Square Mall, the relocation of the Liggett and Myers headquarters from New York City to Durham, the development and recruitment of several international and national firms to the Research Triangle Park, Durham's recognition by the Department of Civil Defense as the national leader in supplied shelters for all people during the Cold War era, the establishment of Operation Breakthrough after conferences with Vice President Hubert Humphrey and National Poverty Director Sergeant Shriver, the establishment of a sister cities arrangement with Durham, England, the designation of Duke Homestead as a North Carolina historic site, the negotiations with Durham banks to increase the interest rates paid to the city of Durham for its funds, and the little-known standoff against the National White Citizens Council in response to Durham's policies on racial inclusion. Mayor Grabarek has often stated that we strive to encourage that this day and every day in Durham's history will allow our diverse togetherness to give light to our collective soul. 100 years, what an incredible legacy. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mayor Grabarek for any comments that he might wish to give us. Mayor Grabarek, congratulations.
Mayors who are in attendance, I'm very grateful for that. Members of the City Council, it's quite an occasion to be, thank you, to be put in a place of public honor and light like this. But I'm real pleased that you've done this because it gives me an opportunity to thank Durham. I appreciate what you had to say about me, but I am in debt to Durham very much. I came to Camp Butler in the Army in 1941, and then Durham, of course, was the adjacent town. Met my wife, Marion Norris Pritchard, married for 73 years, and I'm sorry I lost her last year. But I do want to thank you because I will always be in Durham's debt. When you're 99 years old, you get a moment to think about the past, and I have thought an awful lot about what Durham has meant to me, and I'd like to summarize just briefly what a wonderful place and town we have to live in. For example, my family, I'm included, needed major medical and surgical needs. Durham provided all of it. I had educational problems. I've got 4 children and so on. My grandchildren have attended the finest institutions in the country right here in Durham. We've thoroughly enjoyed the central location of Durham. 3 hours we're in the mountains, beautiful, majestic mountains. 3 hours the other way, we're at the beautiful coast. We've enjoyed all of that. Our cultural activities have also broadened during all this time. And finally, as far as sports is concerned, we're just incomparable. So I thank Durham for all of this. We've enjoyed all of this. And I would say in a very professional way that my credits for Durham far exceed the debits. Far exceed the debits. I'll always be in your debt. Now, there is in this room a heart that if it lasts a few more hours, will have been beating for 100 years. I might insert here that when I was 72, I think a friend said to me, Wentz, if only the good die young, you should live to a ripe old age. And I never like to let my friends down. So during all of this time, of course, I've had the opportunity to appreciate what Durham has done for me. I don't plan to stop when I become 100. And when I mentioned the heart earlier, I want you to know that it is filled with just humility, with gratitude, much love, and joy. And they say to get the real value of joy, you have to share it with someone. So I thank you very, very much for sharing this moment with me and my family. In closing, let me say one last thing happened just last night, which kind of epitomizes the Durham spirit and the mood and the attitude and the personality and conscience. We're out at a restaurant, 7 family members with me enjoying a nice dinner. We finished. The waitress came up with the ticket and said, "It's been paid for." Someone did that. That's Durham.
That's Durham.
And I want to say that in return, that spirit to me makes me say that the Grabarek family is willing and ready at any time, anywhere, to break bread with Durham citizens. Thank you so very, very much.
Here, here.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Look at Charlie then. Do Goodrich bringing his reuse.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Nick.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sylvia. Mr. Mayor, don't forget your picture. Thank you so much. It was fantastic.
Man.
Hey, Charlie, let's give him, let's give him.
That's a big,
100.
that's awesome.
They're probably celebrating, having a big party. Where they all flew in from, if they're all here locally, what? Like,
Good?
All right. After that wonderful moment, we've got some more wonderful moments, and I'm going to ask my city council colleague, Charlie Reese, if he will do the honors for National Public Works Week. And he'll be presenting to Marvin Williams, our Director of Public Works. Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. As soon as I get done reading the proclamation, we'll have our Public Works Director, Marvin Williams, to come up and say a few words. But in the meantime, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life and well-being of the people of the city of Durham, and whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, stormwater, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Durham to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association. Now, therefore, I, Stephen M. Schewel, Mayor of the City of Durham, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2019, as National Public Works Week in Durham, and hereby urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Witness my hand on the corporate seal of the City of Durham this 20th day of May, 2019. Congratulations, Marvin.
Thank you, Mayor Schewel, Councilmember Reese, members of council. As always, I'd like to thank you all for recognizing the Department of Public Works. We're one of those departments that people often don't think of until there's something wrong. And there's actually several staff members from the Public Works Department that are in attendance tonight. So if they could stand right now to receive the recognition for the work that they do all year, I think that'd be great. So as usual with every year, we have a few events going on this week. Tomorrow we'll actually have our equipment rodeo going on at our maintenance yard. I'll send an email out to council members. You're more than welcome to attend that, to view or even participate if you're willing to rise to that challenge. We'll also have our donations to families moving forward that we'll be making on Wednesday of this week. And on Friday, we have our all-department gathering down at Southern Boundaries Park near our operations yard. So you all are welcome to attend that. But thank you all for supporting us in the work that we do every day, and we appreciate it.
I'm looking forward to the equipment rodeo.
Yes, sir.
Mark Anthony's parents.
I need to, you probably don't want to trust me with any of that equipment. I'm now going to ask Councilmember Vernetta Austin if she will join me for the proclamation for Gun Violence Awareness Day. And I will ask Gilda Suter and Megan Mulholland Hudson, volunteers with Mom Demands Action for Gun Sense, and anyone else that you have with you all are certainly welcome to come up and join you. Welcome. Councilmember Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas every day 100 Americans are killed by gun violence, and on average there are nearly 13,000 gun homicides every year. And whereas firearms are now the second leading cause of death for American children and teens, and Americans are 25 times more likely to be murdered with guns than people in other developed countries. And whereas more than 220 children and teenagers in North Carolina have died as a result of gun violence in just the past 5 years, and whereas there were 619 shooting incidents and 27 people killed by gun violence in Durham in 2018, and at least 15 people have been killed by gun violence in Durham in 2019. And whereas mayors and law enforcement officers know their communities best, are the most familiar with local criminal activity and how to address it, and are best positioned to understand how to keep their citizens safe. And whereas on January 11th of this year, Zatil Wilkins, age 20, and her 10-month-old daughter, Ruia Reams, were shot and killed in a domestic violence incident in their home in Durham. And whereas on April 15 of this year, Thaddeus Darnell Holloway, a 38-year-old Durham resident, was shot and killed while walking home from the store in daylight. And whereas in January 2013, Hadia Pendleton, a teenager who marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade and was tragically shot and killed just weeks later, should now be celebrating her 22nd birthday. And whereas to help honor Hadia, Zatil, Ruia, Thaddeus, and the 100 other Americans whose lives are cut short, and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organizations has designated June 7th, 2019, the first Friday in June, as the 5th National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who asked their classmates to commemorate her life by wearing orange, choosing this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, and orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas by pledging to wear orange on June 7th, 2019, Durham residents and Americans will raise awareness about gun violence and honor the lives of gun violence victims and survivors. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to help keep firearms out of the wrong hands and encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now, therefore, I, Stephen M. Schewel, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 7th, 2019 as Gun Violence Awareness Day in the City of Durham, and do hereby encourage all citizens to support our local community's efforts to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 20th day of May, 2019.
Good evening, Mayor Schewel, council members. My name is Gilda Suter. I am the mother of Antonio Dixon. It is my honor to accept this proclamation on behalf of Moms Demand Action, on behalf of my family, and on behalf of the citizens of Durham, North Carolina. As we've just heard, gun violence has plagued our city at a rate that is unacceptable. My family has personally been affected by this kind of tragedy, as well as many other families. Although you may not have personally experienced this kind of trauma, please know that you have been affected because you are a part of this community. Again, on behalf of Moms Demand Action, thank you for standing with us by proclaiming Friday, June 7th as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the beautiful city of Durham. Although I may have experienced a tragedy, I still believe in this city. I am asking you, if you know of those who are interested in joining Moms Demand Action, we actually have some men who are involved as well. Please encourage them to seek us out, and work with us as we continue to make our city a safe place to live, work, and play. Thank you, and God bless.
Ms. Suter, thank you so much for your words. And we all share the sentiments that you have expressed so eloquently. And we know how damaging gun violence is to our community, and we appreciate the work that Moms Demand Action and others are doing to try to bring some sensible gun laws to our state and to our country. So thank you for that work. And finally, we have Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and this will be presented to Ricky Long and also North Carolina Asian Americans Together. So anyone who's a member of that group, please join us, and I'm going to ask my City Council colleague, Mark Anthony Middleton, to come and join me here, and he's going to do the honors. Council member.
My thanks to His Honor, the Mayor, and indeed it is an honor on a pretty special night here in the chamber. Folks, get ready. I'm honored to read this proclamation. Whereas May is officially designated as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month by Section 102 of Title 36, United States Code in 1992, and whereas the month of May was chosen due to two milestones in Asian American Pacific Islander history. May 7th, 1843, when the first Japanese immigrants arrived in the United States, and May 10th, 1869, when the first transcontinental railroad was completed 150 years ago with substantial contributions from Chinese immigrant workers. And whereas North Carolina has been home to members of the Asian American Pacific Islander community since the mid-19th century, when the first Chinese immigrants began to settle in the state. And whereas Durham is home to the fourth largest Asian American Pacific Islander community in North Carolina, and is 5% of the total population. And whereas Asian American Pacific Islander refugees and immigrants in Durham represent a wide range of languages, religions, ethnic groupings, cultures, and countries. And whereas by opening new businesses, participating in the arts, serving in elected office, and pioneering new scientific discoveries, the contributions of Asian Pacific Americans are a vibrant part of our city's civic, economic, and cultural development. And whereas the city of Durham is proud to celebrate May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and to recognize the numerous contributions of the diverse members of the AAPI community to our city. Now, therefore, I, Stephen M. Schewel, Mayor of the City of Durham, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim May 2019 as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Durham, and commend its observance to all citizens. Witness my hand in the corporate seal of the City of Durham, North Carolina, this 20th day of May 2019.
Thank you very much, Mayor Schewel and Durham City Council for this proclamation of Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. On behalf of Asian Americans in Durham and on behalf of the organization I work for, North Carolina Asian Americans Together, the only Pan-Asian organization in the state focusing our work on civic and voter engagement within the community, we're delighted for this recognition of Asian Americans as part of the city's past, present, and future. Asian Americans are the fastest growing racial group in the country. In Durham alone, the number of registered Asian American voters has increased by 40% between 2014 and 2018, compared to an increase of about 10% for all Durham voters during the same time period. As an Asian American myself who grew up in North Carolina and now a Durham resident, it's really encouraging to witness our city's effort to be inclusive of its residents and supportive of the immigrant community here, regardless of the ability to vote. Thank you very much again for this great recognition of the API community here in Durham.
Come on over here, and you can hold the proclamation up. The smaller you are, come on up front. Are you ready? Come on up. Come on up. Thank you.
Voters.
Well, we've had some beautiful ceremonial items tonight, and I want to thank everybody for contributing to that. And now we will move on to any announcements by members of the council. Colleagues, any announcements?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, colleagues. Really excited to see that. As a Japanese American myself, I found that was really great and tend to celebrate May as well. Also want to thank Marvin Williams from Public Works for being with us as we did that proclamation. I'm really grateful, Marvin, for all the work that you guys do responding to my Durham One Call app requests, which I know are voluminous. So thanks so much for putting up with me about that. Mr. Mayor, what I actually wanted to talk about tonight is participatory budgeting. Voting is currently underway on this process that we voted to create last year to ask the people of the city of Durham how they want us to spend $2.4 million of their money. After a lot of work by city staff and a ton of volunteers, the projects proposed by the people of this city are now before the people of the city for them to choose for themselves how to spend that money. And all of the projects that made it through the process of vetting would make Durham a more accessible, more livable, and more equitable community. So if you live in the city of Durham and are 13 years of age or older, you are eligible to vote for the projects you like best, either online or in person at locations across the city. To find more information about the projects involved, to review the ballot for your part of the city where you live, or to cast your vote in participatory budgeting, please go to the website pbdurham.org and learn more about the process. Thank you for the time, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, council member. Anyone else have an announcement? Councilmember Middleton.
Thank you, Your Honor, and good evening to my colleagues and everyone in the chamber once again. Mr. Mayor, on this past Saturday, an American cultural icon celebrated. The Bembe Festival turned 50. Bembe, of course, is one of the leading African and African-American cultural traditional celebrations in America, so we ought to be very proud of that. I was proud, Mr. Mayor, to help honor 4 hometown heroes. We don't have to look far for heroes in Durham. We've got them right here in our city. So I want to congratulate Mr. Kasim Abdullah, Brian Dawson, radio personality, Omega Parker, who's a bright light in the field of education here in Durham, and former Mayor Bill Bell, who was in the chamber not too long ago. So we want to honor those hometown heroes that were recognized. I also want to say, in recognition of the number of folk that have reached out to me, we know that there were some of our residents and citizens that were deeply concerned about some of the stuff that emanated from the stage, particularly from the rap artist Juvenile. I want to say, firstly, Mr. Mayor, that I'm a lifelong hip-hop fan, and I'm not going to pretend that every time I bobbed my head, it was to the radio version. This is not about foisting puritanical views on anyone. This is not about censorship. This is not about trying to get folk to listen to something that we like that they may not like. This is about reconciling what we advertise as a city with what we deliver as a city. So to our residents and citizens that were concerned about some of the language and some of the material that was performed, I would encourage you to go to the Durham Parks and Recreation website. I communicated with the leader, Rhonda Parker, and let me say, they did an incredible job. This festival was record-setting, and you should go and read the statement that has an apology in it to any citizen or resident that may have been offended because you weren't given enough information to make an informed decision. Well, let me say it this way. You were, but if you look at a grown man who himself is a brand, who cashed a check and looked in your eyes and said, I get it, I got you, and then once he gets on stage and goes another direction, there's not much we can do about that. But I assure you that our people did make it clear what our expectations were and the type of festival it was, and I understand that the rapper, the entertainer, has been reached out to and asked for an apology. We don't know if it's coming, but you need to know that your city, when we say that it's a family-friendly festival that's free and open to the public, that's what we meant. That's what this staff worked hard to deliver, and I want to reiterate the apology that you will see on the Durham Parks and Recreation website. This is not about censorship or puritanical values. This is about truth and advertising. Now, with that said, my prediction is that whatever the hubbub or dust up around Juvenile's performance, it will be a footnote in the history of this festival. This was a record-setting festival, over 15,000 people. Folk participated in voting for participatory budgeting. Kids were out there laughing and running around and having a great time. It's the 50th anniversary of one of America's leading cultural festivals. That will be the headline. The headline will be that 15,000 highly melanated folk, the majority of them were out there having a great time, and our staff delivered an amazing festival, and they are to be commended. So I want to thank Director Parker and the incredible Durham Parks and Rec. I make a lot of Parks and Rec jokes because that was one of my favorite shows, but they are a serious outfit, and they delivered an incredible package on behalf of this city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy birthday, Durham, and happy anniversary, Bembe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Yes, thank you.
Any further announcements? I do have one announcement. I want to congratulate Councilmember Freeman. This last weekend at the North Carolina League of Municipalities, she was elected president of North Carolina Women in Municipal Government. And and I had to find out on social media.
I'm just not.
So, but we're very proud of Councilmember Freeman for leading this group. It's another feather in Durham's cap. All right. We will now move on to priority items by the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. No priority items from the city manager's office.
Thank you. Madam Attorney.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The Attorney's Office has no priority items this evening.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We also have no items.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda can be approved by a single vote of the council. These are items that the council has previously discussed and worked on. An item can be pulled by the consent agenda by any member of the public or by a member of the council. And if it is pulled, it will be, we will take it up at the end of the meeting. Let me just check and make sure that I have. Okay. Item 1, approval of city council minutes. Item 2, Durham Workers' Rights Commission appointments. Items 3, Mayor's Council for Women appointments. Item 4, Durham Planning Commission appointment. Item 5, Durham Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission appointment. Item 6, Participatory Budgeting Steering Committee appointment. Item 7, to adopt the revised North Carolina Retention and Disposition Schedule dated March 1st, 2019. Item 8, Durham Workers' Rights Commission bylaws. Item 9, construction permit financing loan documents with Willard Street LLC for the construction of the Willard Street Apartments. Item 10, Durham Community Land Trustees, DCLT, Inc., Southwest Central Durham Rental Rehabilitation Project. Item 11, loan agreement for the Durham Affordable Housing Loan Fund. Item 12, Department of Water Management Compliance Services Award Special Inspections Construction Material Testing Contract to Stewart Engineering, Inc. Item 13, Department of Water Management Mist Lake Facility Complex Award Special Inspections Construction Material Testing and Geotechnical Recommendations and Considerations Contract to Falcon Engineering, Inc. Item 14, Ordinance to adopt water and sewer rates for 2019-20.
Mr. Mayor, can I pull that one?
Item 14. Item 19, $95 million general obligation bond referendum.
Mr. Mayor, if I could pull that one.
Okay. Item 14 and 15. Item 16, annual insurance plan FY20. Item 17, purchase contract with Sound Associates, Inc. for the Durham Performing Arts Center audio system upgrade. Item 18, resolution to support the Upper Neuse River Basin Association UNRBA FY 2020 budget. Item 19, utility extension agreement with Habitat for Humanity of Durham, Inc. to serve Habitat South Hoover Road lots. Item 20, utility extension agreement with FBT Inc. to serve FMC grading. Item 21, utility extension agreement with Tobin Construction Company LLC to serve 2701 University Drive. Item 22, utility extension agreement with Terraces at Morehead Hills LLC to serve Morehead Hills Townhomes. Item 23, contract amendment number 2 of ST 289C with MA Engineering Consultants, Inc. for utility location services. Item 24, ordinance amending Durham City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 70, Article 3, Division 2 and Division 3, non-contiguous annexations. Item 25, contract amendment for contract SD 2019-02, stormwater infrastructure repairs. Item 26, SD 2019-09, stormwater infrastructure repairs. Item 27, contract ST 290, street repairs and repaving project. Item 28, ordinances to amend Chapter 14 of the city's fee schedule in Section F58-186 of the Durham City Code of Ordinances. You have heard the consent agenda, and I will now take a motion to approve it with the exception of items 14 and 15.
So moved. Second.
Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to our general business agenda, and the first item on our agenda is an important item in every year in our city, which is the proposed FY 2019-20 budget and FY 2020 to 2025 capital improvement plan. And I'm going to ask our city manager, Tom Bonfield, to please take the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And good evening, Mayor Schewel, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, members of the City Council, city staff, residents of Durham present here tonight or viewing on Durham Television Network. I'm honored to be before you this evening to present the proposed 2019-2020 fiscal year budget for the city of Durham, the 11th budget that I've had the privilege to present to the community. You're accustomed to our attempts to make the annual budget presentation hopefully relevant to our lives and to current happenings in the city. Last year, we talked about how our budget reflected significant occurrences in Durham over the previous year and how the word refresh was at the forefront for us since our city has new energy as we have gone through a robust period of growth and revitalization. And while there are no beverages to accompany the budget presentation this year, I am confident that you will find it equally as satisfying. Last year, we noted that our internationally recognized Durham Performing Arts Center would mark its 10th year of operation in late 2018, and that in 2019, we would commemorate Durham's 150th anniversary. While we recently celebrated the city's official 150th birthday, the celebration will continue the rest of the year, honoring the city's foundation of inclusivity, diversity, and innovation that continues to successfully propel our city into the future. And thinking about this year's budget, we couldn't help but reflect on our beginnings as a city. And for those of you who don't know, Durham was named after Dr. Bartlett Durham, who in 1849 provided land for a railroad station in what is now downtown. And a village took form around that train station, and a post office was built. Durham reached a population of around 100 people at the time of Dr. Durham's death in 1859. As Durham Station's population rapidly increased, the station became a town and was incorporated by act of the North Carolina General Assembly on April 10, 1869. It is a bit ironic that our founder was a doctor in what would later become known as the City of Medicine. And I'd like to think that Dr. Durham would be proud of his namesake city and how it has come to be in the last 150 years. And as we pause to recognize our sesquicentennial, as I can never say that right, as city employees, we've also paused to look back at our origins and records. And I must say, we found some pretty cool stuff. For instance, did you know in 1869, Durham's population, when it was incorporated, was 258. The annual budget was $357.44. And the largest taxpayer paid $40.62 in taxes. As of our 2018, our population is estimated at 270,819, the fourth largest city in North Carolina. Our 2018 annual budget was $510.9 million, and our largest taxpayer paid more than $1.2 million in taxes. We've also have found handwritten minutes and records going back to 1869, as you can see from this photo. A few other neat facts that I uncovered during my reflection on our history was that in the summer of 1869, an election was held for the choice of town commissioners. The first governing board consisted of 6 members. J.W. Cheek was magistrate of police, but later called on to be mayor. R.F. Morris, A.M. Rigsby, W.K. Styrand, W.I. Clark, and William Mangum were commissioners, or aldermen as they were known at that time. J.T. Farthing was chosen as town clerk and treasurer, and Andrew Turner was constable. And from there, city government was born. Another fact I learned was that since 1921, the role of the city manager has changed hands 23 times, and I'm deeply honored to have served as Durham's 23rd city manager. But with this reflection on the last 150 years comes the need to look at how we arrived to where we are and give serious thought that maybe, had we made better decisions 50, 75, or 100 years ago, how much better served our community on the whole might be today. It certainly would be less complicated to develop and present a budget guided only by our core municipal responsibilities, the so-called hard services, roads, water, parks, recreation services, without assuming ownership of other obligations that contribute to the city's mission to make Durham a great place to live, work, and play for everyone. The reality is, as a community, we can no longer afford to overlook issues that have been staring us in the face far too long. Issues that have laid the foundation for where Durham is now, a progressive city of the South, no doubt, but a city with much work that remains to be done. That is why this year's budget proposal enhances our efforts to address equity issues, racial and those driven by income or lack thereof. While some of these efforts are woven into existing initiatives, you'll see that there are others that stand alone and make a bold statement about the city's intentions. The city's strategic plan and the 5 goals that are the framework of the activities, programs, and services associated with them changed last year, and to build on how Durham is transforming to meet the needs of the growing, diverse, and inclusive community that we strive to be. The strategic plan continues to be the foundation of our planning, driving our operational needs, and guiding this annual budget process. Mayor Schewel and City Council members have played a vital role in providing guidance as we discuss strategic plan goals and the entire budget development processes. And I want to thank you all for your leadership and direction to our staff during what is one of the most important local government processes of the year. 2019 brought changes to our tax base thanks to continued growth and development, along with Durham County property revaluation that occurred earlier this year. And while growth continues to increase the demand for services, it also brings an expanded tax base with property values increasing, sometimes dramatically. The total proposed budget for fiscal year 2019-20 is $476.2 million, and this compares to the $510.4 million for fiscal year 2018-19, which is a decrease of $34.8 million. Most of this decrease, however, is from a reduction in transfers for capital projects in the Water and Sewer Fund. The proposed general fund budget, which covers the city's core services, is $216.2 million, which is a 7.24% increase from last year. The property tax rate is proposed at 53.34 cents per $100 of assessed value, which is 4.5 cents below the current combined tax rate of 57.86 cents. This year's reduction resulted partly due to an average valuation increase of 19.2%, recognizing that many values in downtown and surrounding neighborhoods grew by even larger percentages. What this means for the average homeowner is a tax bill of about $1,223 per year, or $102 per month, for a median house value at about $229,000. And despite the apparent never-ending growth in Durham, however, sales tax revenues and their growth has been slower than expected. Personnel expenditures in the general fund are proposed to increase by $9.4 million, and operating expenditures are increased by $3.2 million. Fund balance to begin the fiscal year is projected at 19.92%, or $47.7 million, which is approximately $15.5 million above the fund balance reserve policies of the council. The budget is proposing one-time funding to include street resurfacing, election costs, transitional jobs programs, and community engagement funding, totaling almost $5.7 million. During a time of tremendous growth and change in this community, it's important that we ensure that all of our residents have equal access to opportunities to prosper and thrive. The proposed budget contains expanded and new initiatives designed to enable human and workforce development, coupled with the business growth that encourages an inclusive economy. The Equal Opportunity and Equity Assurance Department has been reimagined and now will be called the Equity and Inclusion Department. While work to expand opportunities for disadvantaged and local business will continue, equal attention will be focused on racial and economic equity. This will include adding the city's first full-time Chief Equity Officer, who will lead the implementation of adopted recommendations from the City Council Racial Equity Task Force, racial equity trainings, and support for equity action planning teams who will operationalize the plan in all city departments. A cornerstone of the city's vision for a shared economic strategy is the establishment of the Bull City Foundation, modeled after successful economic foundations in a number of cities throughout the country. A successful and sustainable foundation of this nature will require buy-in and collaboration from all of our government and economic development partners. The proposed budget includes $300,000 for implementation consulting services, along with 2 initial staff members from within existing Office of Economic and Workforce Development resources. It is hoped that this initial work will be completed by mid-year and that in early 2020, a full plan to have the foundation up and running will be finalized. Funding is included to support the addition of 50 additional students in the Summer Youth Work Internship Program, which will be leveraged to attract private sector participants to hire an additional 50 students, bringing the total number of youth to 300 and closer to the 5-year goal of hiring 1,000 youth in the summer. One-time funding is also included to complete the justice-involved transitional employment prototype. Thus far, the city has connected justice-involved residents with 10 jobs in city departments, and it includes job training, case management, and other support services. Also of note is that the permanent funding is included for the Training to Work program, which was previously grant-funded and set to expire this year. This program has proven successful at early intervention with residents still in prison and preparing for release back to Durham in 45 to 60 days. Also, one-time funding to support the development of financial empowerment strategy and blueprint is recommended in the budget. A continued shift in how we think about public safety is also part of the reflection on the past 150 years and where we want to go in the next 150 years. We continue to recognize that we have to work alongside residents and community organizations in creating a safer community together. Partnering to promote community environment that is safe, free of harm and hazards is consistently a large priority for our residents and for all the public safety agencies that work to serve them. I'm recommending the addition of 18 patrol officers and proposed for an approximate 2-year pilot in District 4 intended to improve efficiencies in the police beat structure, staffing, and work schedule. This restructured district staffing model is designed to improve response times, beat integrity, and community interaction while reducing overtime costs and providing officers with an improved work-life balance. The police department is also redirecting current resources to establish an additional community engagement unit in public housing communities. Proactive community engagement over the past year in the McDougal Terrace housing community has contributed to reduced crime and improved resident interaction and support in that community. Police Department will also add 2 latent print examiners to its forensic unit to address an increase in caseload, increased overall performance in case processing, and to ensure timely prosecution of criminal cases, and to prevent a further backlog of cases. A previously grant-funded licensed crisis intervention clinician to help residents in mental health crisis when they come in contact with police officers will be permanently funded within the police budget. Last month's tragic gas explosion brought well-deserved attention to our first responders, particularly the Durham Fire Department. And while their highlighted response that day was certainly heroic and life-saving, it is a daily occurrence in some form or fashion. It is critical that these first responders remain equipped to assure their safety as they serve our community. Helmet accountability shields provide accurate accountability of all personnel in an emergency incident and throughout a tour of duty. Particulate barrier hoods act as a filter to reduce firefighters' exposure to persistent fireground carcinogens and other contaminants. Funding is also included to provide sufficient personnel protective equipment to help ensure turnout gear and uniforms are as free of contaminants, carcinogens, body fluids, and other chemicals as possible. The proposed fire department budget includes 2 additional administrative staff positions to support current and planned increased staffing, and also includes an additional staff position to support expanding fire and safety community education programs that began last year. A key tenet of the goal of connected, engaged, and diverse community is to foster cohesive, engaged, and diverse communities where our residents have equitable access to community resources and the opportunity for a high quality of life. As was mentioned, what better example of community, what makes Durham special than the 50th annual Bembe Cultural Arts Festival, which took place this past Saturday. In early 1969, a group of African-American students from Duke University and the North Carolina College at Durham, now North Carolina Central University, and a host of community members met to plan a cultural arts festival for the residents of Durham to honor the West African Festival of Harvest and Celebration. And each year since, this event has been a day filled with the tradition of sharing, celebration, and the appreciation of gifts of talent. The city's focus on equity and inclusion also extends to community engagement. Equitable community engagement related to capital project development and in our everyday work. The city's Neighborhood Improvement Services Department Community Engagement Division will prioritize equitable engagement coordination between city departments and the community. Funding is provided to pilot the implementation of the Equitable Community Engagement Blueprint and to hire temporary part-time staff to equitably engage residents on various city projects that will impact the community. Funding is also provided for a dedicated full-time position to focus on Latino community engagement. Also this year, city government is introducing its first language access plan, primarily for Durham's Spanish-speaking population. The goal is to provide meaningful access to the city's services, programs, and events for all residents. And while the plan may take time to fully implement, establishing the plan is the important first step. Safe, affordable, quality housing is a keystone to having an opportunity at a high quality of life. This budget continues to support the development of new affordable homeownership and rental units, preserving existing affordable rentals, enhancing collaboration with the largest affordable housing provider in the city, the Durham Housing Authority, and ensuring housing stabilization and appreciating neighborhoods continues to be the multi-pronged approach to provide affordable housing. The budget proposed continues the dedicated affordable housing tax rate at 2 cents while appropriating significant funds from fund balance to support the plan. 2 new full-time positions are funded to support the city's homelessness program. With the recent investment in combating homelessness and expanded HUD requirements, there has been a dramatic increase in the volume of work for the Homeless Continuum team. To address this increase in need, an expanded homelessness team within the Community Development Department will be responsible for providing logistical support for the Durham's homelessness continuum of care. In order to support affordable housing goals adopted by the City Council 3 years ago, Staff will also plan for the $95 million affordable housing bond referendum that is planned to go before the voters in November. Dependent on the approval of the $95 million bond referendum later this fall, we are prepared to add 2 full-time positions to assist with the financial management, monitoring, and reporting associated with the bond, as well as work to support the goal of expanding rental options for Durham's lowest income residents. The Community Development Department and Neighborhood Improvement Services Department will also use a portion of the funding within the Affordable Housing Fund to expand the existing housing repair program to address non-code compliant homes that are occupied by low-income homeowners. Funding is also included to complete the Welcome Home Project pilot, which offers peer support and package of essential items, including toiletries, food, and letter from the mayor, to residents returning to Durham from state prison. The pilot ends this August. We learned recently that the I-Team has secured a $20,000 grant from Race Forward to extend the pilot an additional 3 months, after which time, however, the program will need to identify additional funds or possibly end. The Durham Expunction and Restoration Program, or DERE, continues to draw national and statewide attention. Funding is in place to support completing the initial 1-year pilot of DERE, which runs through the end of October. Program evaluation and options for community partners to adopt the program are underway. However, without additional funding or adoption, the program may begin to close as early as November. Durham's growth continues to abound in every corner of the community. And while this growth brings much attention and opportunity to our community, it is essential that the growth be managed and planned, and even more important, that it be environmentally sustainable. This year, the City-County Planning Department will initiate a robust community engagement process to assist in updating Durham's comprehensive plan. The General Services Department will use the recently adopted Sustainability Roadmap and Renewable Energy Resolution to develop the baseline data and implementation plan for these aggressive sustainability initiatives. Positions dedicated to implementing these initiatives have been redirected in the General Services Department and will be supported by funds previously used to support a city-county sustainability office. While the proposed 10-year capital improvement plan will be presented during the upcoming budget work sessions in detail, the more significant 2020 new capital projects are noted here. And I'd like to call your attention to the numerous bike and pedestrian projects that are funded. Maintaining city streets continues to be a concern for residents responding to the 2018 Resident Satisfaction Survey. Approximately $10 million is budgeted to address the ongoing maintenance of streets, an increase of $1 million over last year's budget, and includes $4 million in one-time funding from fund balance. $117.8 million is budgeted for water and sewer improvements, including water and sewer rehabilitation, distribution, water residuals, and other construction projects. Tonight, the council will consider a modest increase of 2.8% for the average customer in water and sewer rates, and that also is included to continue to support ongoing capital, operating, and sustainability efforts. While the status of the Durham Orange Light Rail transit system dominated the local news, the local transit news over the last 6 months, work continued to support and prop up our local Go Durham transit system, which is the primary method of mobility for thousands and thousands of Durham residents. State funding supporting local transit was reduced by $550,000 this year. No fare adjustments are contemplated in the proposed budget, but the transit portion of the total tax rate will need to increase to 3.75 cents. Early indicators are that the North Carolina General Assembly will restore some or all of the funding reduction in their proposed budget. If the state budget is adopted prior to June 17th and includes this restored funding, Council could consider a reduction in the tax rate needed to support Go Durham. And while not a city funding responsibility, the upcoming update to the Durham Transit Plan will be a critically important next step to plan for mobility for decades to come. And finally, as I say every year, and I never get tired of saying it, I am continually in awe of the service that our more than 2,600 employees strive to provide to our residents every day. The results of the 2018 Durham Resident Satisfaction Survey showed that 85% of residents feel that Durham is a good to excellent place to live, which is up 4% from last year, making it the highest all-time rated achievement since this survey began 13 years ago. I'd like to believe our dedicated employees are carrying on a tradition of public service that began with J.T. Farthing, the first city employee back in 1869. Farthing began quite the history for our organization, and thousands of people have served this city as public servants since then. We stand on his shoulders, and I'd like to think he too will be proud of the city government that started with him all those years ago. A major theme that emerged from this year's resident survey indicated that compared to other large cities with a population of 250,000 or more, Durham is setting the standard for the overall quality of city-provided services and customer service from city employees, both rating 63%, which is 28 percentage points and 19 percentage points above the national benchmark average for cities our size. Our cities would not be where we are today without an organization that supports a culture of innovation, collaboration, and transparency to deliver quality services through an exceptional workforce. To attract and retain great employees, we continue to improve our employee compensation and benefits. The proposed budget funds the recently approved General Employee Classification Plan, with employees receiving average 4% salary increases. Sworn employees in our police and fire departments will continue to receive average 5% salary increases. And finally, we're adding a total of 47 new full-time positions to help meet the needs of our growing community, with new positions in fire, parks and recreation, budget and management services, city manager's office, equity, inclusion, human resources, technology solutions, police, community development, inspections, and water management. As was also mentioned earlier this evening, so far 4,280 residents have cast their vote for their top projects in our participating budgeting initiative. If you haven't already voted, we're asking residents to select top projects to receive $2.4 million in funding this coming fiscal year, and there is still time to vote. So I encourage you to visit pbdurham.org and cast your vote online, or visit a pop-up voting site between now and May 31st to let us know what projects you want to see in your neighborhoods. Funding is included in the proposed budget to implement the chosen projects. Also, funding for 5 full-time positions will continue the work of the innovation team. This funding will allow those employees to continue to offer the city a different set of tools and techniques to innovate more effectively and work with residents and community stakeholders to solve pressing problems. So I've highlighted many of the key budget recommendations and invite you to take a closer look over the next few weeks. There are many projects and initiatives that are necessary to continue keeping neighborhoods healthy and thriving, from meeting infrastructure needs to keeping our environment clean. Staff looks forward to delving deeper into the details of the proposed budget at next week's budget work sessions. Developing the budget, of course, is always a collaborative process, relying on the groundwork of long-term financial and strategic plans developed over the past years, and at the same time, trying to predict what the future holds. As always, I'd like to give special recognition to Director Bertha Johnson and her Budget and Management Services team. Many of them are here with us this evening, and along with the department directors for their leadership to ensure that our strategic plan guides and aligns with budget priorities as well as the growing community needs. I also want to recognize Public Affairs Director Beverly Thompson and her staff, who always do a great job assisting with this presentation. So it is now time for the elected leadership and the residents to review and scrutinize the proposed budget. Residents are invited to share their thoughts at a public hearing on Monday, June the 3rd. We remain committed to transparency in the budget as well in total operations. Copies of the proposed budget are now available on the city's website, in the city clerk's office, and in the Department of Budget and Management Services. I also want to encourage our residents to continue to engage with us on any of the social media platforms listed here. We work hard to communicate what we're doing on these platforms, and we want to engage you. In closing, The fiscal year 2018-19 was definitely a year of reflection and reminiscing, while at the same time looking at new and innovative ways to meet the needs of growing Durham. But as we continue to commemorate Durham's 150th anniversary, we also celebrate the foundation of inclusivity, diversity, and innovation that continues to successfully propel the city in the future. So as we prepare for the next 150 years, may the city of Durham continue to be great, a great and welcoming city that we enjoy calling home. Thank you.
All right, we'll wait till the city manager, now that we know what his walk-up music is. We'll wait till he comes back up. Mr. Manager, thank you for a great presentation and a great budget. We do have some people that want to speak on this item, but before we do, I think I'll recognize any council members, but just begin by saying we are so grateful for the work of you, Mr. Manager, for our Deputy City Manager, Wanda Page, our Budget Director, Bertha Johnson, everybody on the budget team. We are at the point that we get to every year where out of $476 million, we're down to probably arguing over $1 million or $2 million. But the incredible work that you all do is just, I just want to say it is, we all know it. We all very much appreciate the budget process that we go through, the amazing education that you all give us every year in the work of our city. Thank you for all the new initiatives, and just very excited to have our budget sessions and then get down to the final decision making. But thank you so much, Mr. Manager. Any comments from members of the council? Councilmember Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just, as I watched the presentation, I was struck by how the administration has come to integrate ideas, concepts, and values from the community in a way that is really impressive and amazing. To see economic inclusion talked about in this direct way with real money coming after it, with a strategy to implement in the coming years. To hear talk about equitable community engagement around capital projects so that folks who live in and around the areas where these projects will exist will have a say in what those projects look like and what form they take. And to hear those things from this city manager and on this stage is really, I think, a testament to the way that the administration and the city manager personally has really taken to heart what the people of the city of Durham have been saying over the last 3 or 4 years. And I think I'm really excited to dig into the details of this budget. I think obviously, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, the areas where we're going to have questions and be digging into the details will likely reveal a very tiny portion of disagreement amongst us. But overall, I have to tell you that the presentation tonight gives me a lot of hope for this budget. I think one of the things I was reflecting on is how different this process has been from last year's process. I think last year's budget was easily, of the 4 that I've been involved in, the easiest for a number of different reasons. But I think as the city manager mentioned in our budget retreat a couple of months ago, this is really a time for choosing, for determining what our priorities truly are, what do we really want out of city government, and what are we willing to do to get that, and what are we willing to give up in order to achieve the things that we decide as electeds and as a community are the real priorities for our city. And I think the work that's happened so far on the budget really sets us up in a great way to have those conversations over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Look forward to the budget work sessions at the end of May. The public hearing obviously is critically important at the 1st of June, and then if we need it, we'll have a full extra morning work session on June 6th to talk about any additional areas that we need to tighten up. But I'm really excited to get into the details of this and to have the community share their impressions of it with us, whether it's in person at the budget hearing in June or obviously on social media and by email in the weeks to come. So I just wanted to say again, Mr. Mayor, how much I appreciate all the hard work that staff has done on this, and just especially thank the city manager for being the kind of leader that the city needs right now, and I'm really grateful. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Austin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first, thank you to our staff, city manager's office, and particularly the budget, the folks in the budget department. Thank you for your work in pulling this proposed budget together. And I just want to add, I think we started this budget season, at least with us. You started, Mr. Manager, by kind of framing the challenge that we would all have to balance, balance the budget with the kind of existing kind of projects and services that we provide with the charge that I think we have as a body and that the community has given us as an organization, and even some of our staff to innovate and to be creative. And I think we need innovation. I think we need bold ideas. I think we need to tackle things that are hard to tackle. But I want to echo Councilmember Reese and say I very much appreciate your clear, consistent, and very steady leadership and kind of just forward thinking and helping us kind of frame a very difficult task. So I look forward to kind of finishing this process out with you all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Manager, and budget staff as well for your work. I don't think any of us fully understand the amount of work that goes into putting together this document, but we know that it's a lot, and we appreciate you all and your dedication to every single year producing a budget that really reflects our city's values. And it's the most important thing that we do. So it's so important, and we're all so thrilled that it's done this well every year. I wanted to highlight a couple of things that I want to make sure that folks know have come to us through a very active engagement with the council and the community, and how we're now putting a lot of that work that has happened in those community-generated ideas and needs into our budget. So the Equitable Engagement Plan, the commitment to racial equity and transitioning our Department of Equal Opportunity and Equity Assurance into an office on equity and inclusion, our language access work, participatory budgeting, additional investments in economic development, all of these additional spending items and programs have been brought to us by community members and really advocated for by members of the community. And it's through a collaboration between the community and council and city staff that we've been able to build these ideas into real programs that I think will benefit a lot of members in the community. So I just wanted to highlight how I've seen that collaboration really bear fruit this year, and I think that we're going to see a lot more great work coming out of that continued engagement with the community on the part of our staff and our council. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Freeman.
I also want to echo a great appreciation for our city manager and the director in budgeting and the team that has pulled all this together. I can't say enough. I think I asked a lot of questions in passing. I do still work full-time, so I apologize, but I am paying attention. Just want to make sure I get the right information. And I want to also add that I really appreciate how you've managed to weave together a lot of the comments that have come along throughout the process. And I want to lift it up and say, there has been a real tension around adding in on the tail end these racial equity pieces, the community engagement pieces. And so I really appreciate you leaning into it and actually rising to the challenge and funding it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Caballero.
Thank you, Mayor. Want to echo, add along, thank you, staff. I always think that the budget process is kind of like magic, but we know it's not. It's a lot of hard work. So thank you to our manager and to our staff. I want to say that we are moving in the right direction, specifically around taking the feedback that we hear from community members, from residents. This is your money, so we need that feedback. And I appreciate seeing all of you out and really pushing us to listen to you all's voices and asking us to continue to be better, because I know we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My congratulations to the city manager and the staff. People in the city need to know that, and I say this with all seriousness, there are no finer group of professionals that do this kind of stuff in the United States of America than you'll find in Durham.
Amen.
They are some of the most professional and impressive people I have ever seen. I was a fan of Durham before I got elected. I'm a super fan of Durham now after seeing the dedication of this staff. And I say that with all seriousness. You're not going to find a better group of people that do this in the United States. There's a line that our staff walks up to beyond which they cannot go past. And that's what you elect us to do. And that's to provide leadership and to set atmosphere and to set tone. And I want to, of course, echo a number of things that my colleagues have said about the earnest efforts of this staff to capture what we've been talking about in the city and to codify it. But I also want to just gently nudge our citizenry and our residents and our fellow neighbors that the folk that show up are the ones that get to make the decisions. And oftentimes when we talk about voices from the community, leaders have to be very careful because sometimes we can get caught in echo chambers. And the community turns out to be the people we hang out with and the people we just listen to and the people that are with us all the time. And we can amplify that as the community voice, when in actuality, oftentimes there are large swaths of our community that are not engaged. We can send emails, we can knock on doors, we can send out mailers, we can text, tweet, use Facebook. But I want to just implore those of you that are listening at home, as well as you in this chamber, that ultimately, and it's been said that budgets are moral documents, they reflect what we value. And even the most progressive city council sometimes has blind spots. We have blind spots because of our own lived experience. We have blind spots because of our own privilege. And even the most well-intentioned folks, sometimes if we're not hearing from enough people, will make decisions based upon defaulting to our own lived experience. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way humans work. Please show up. Please talk to us. Please bring your concerns. The more, the better. This is a wonderful budget. This is a wonderful staff. But there's a whole bunch of us in this city whose voices aren't being heard enough. I implore you, as wonderful a staff as we have, and as well-meaning councils as this is, and it is. These are an incredible group of colleagues I have to a person. They're committed and passionate, but it's just us. And we have our own lived experiences, and we have our own biases, some of them known to us, some of them not known to us. So I would encourage the residents of this city, never before, to make this a record-setting year of showing up and ripping this budget apart in a good way and making sure that the community voices are reflective of all of our community and not just the folk that we hang out with up here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations, Mr. Manager, and to the staff.
Thank you, Council Member. Thank you, Council Member, for your comments. We do have some speakers to this item. We have 13 speakers to be exact. I'm going to give everyone 3 minutes. I will remind you that we do have a public hearing on June the 3rd, but since you're here and you're signed up, we're going to do it tonight. And I'm going to call you, and if I call your name, will you please come over here to my right? And we'll, as I say, give everyone 3 minutes. I'm going to start with Nicole Netzel. Not sure I have that name right. Apologize if I do not. Mab Segrist.
Thank you.
Danielle Purefoy. John Morris. And Tremaine Bazemore. If those of you all who are here could please come over to this side of the podium and welcome. I'm not sure, did I get your name right?
Yeah, really close. Nicole Netzel.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Netzel, please give us your name and address and welcome, and you have 3 minutes.
Thanks. My name is Nicole Netzel, and I live at 835 Berwyn Avenue in Durham. And I'm here on behalf of the Race Equity Action Team for People's Alliance. And I just want to read a brief statement regarding the budget from our team. The People's Alliance Racial Equity Action Team wants to advocate not funding additional police officers. We advocate for expanding and supporting the social safety net instead. Evidence from organizations like the Marshall Project and the Justice Policy Institute tell us that more cops don't equal less crime, and we would rather see that investment in social safety nets in our community. We also want to voice our support for funding for DEAR and Welcome Home. We heard that both pilot programs will be running out in November. We would specifically like to see peer support specialists funded full-time for Welcome Home. Additionally, we in the People's Alliance Housing Action Team advocate for increasing the budget for the eviction diversion program to $500,000 to double households served to 900. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you
for your
very
time.
much. We'll now hear from Mab Segrist. Ms. Segrist, welcome. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Mab Segrist, 1419 Ruffin Street. I'm here to echo the opinion just offered that putting additional police officers into Durham now is not the best use of our money, given the variety of other needs the city has. And to also point out that public safety is more than a police budget. I'm part of a group who started to study this issue when there was a proposal put on the table for 72 officers over 3 years with $1.7 million for the first year. So we are curious if that's still in effect and what the budget over 3 years would be for that increase if it's still going to be 72 officers. It seems like as citizens we should know that information. Also, we've also looked at models like the CAHOOTS model in Oregon. We're very happy that police officers are getting trained for 40 hours of intervention with mental health, but CAHOOTS people who are mobile interventions in addition to officers get 500 hours of mental health training. And the flashpoints between armed police and armed citizens and mental health issues could have a variety of responses, not only police officers. Likewise, the new beat structure makes more efficient use of police because they're not traveling out of the beat, and so maybe they don't need new officers. We have those kind of questions. We're very happy to be engaged in this process and look forward to conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Segrist. Ms. Segrist, if you would send an email about your first question. I think that the manager addressed it, but I know he will be happy to address that. If you sent me an email or any of us, we could forward it to him and get an answer for you. Thank you. We'll now hear from Danielle Purefoy. Ms. Purefoy, welcome, and please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
Sure. Good evening. My name is Danielle Purefoy, and I'm at 2032 Inglewood. I'm here to address the council's budget proposal for the hiring of new police officers in Durham, like the previous 2 speakers. The first proposal we heard, as Mab just said, was for 72 new police officers over the next 3 years. Now we understand that the proposal is for 18 police officers over the next year as a pilot, with the total numbers pending, perhaps. I'm here on behalf of Durham Beyond Policing, a coalition of grassroots community organizations committed to an alternative vision for public safety, to oppose the devotion of our public funds to hiring any new police officers at all. We've been before you several times to remind you that a public safety budget that devotes the vast majority, over 60%, as of the last budget, of its resources to police represents a commitment to punishment, incarceration, and severing of community ties, none of which keeps us safe. Currently, we are facing enormous challenges in our city, as you know. Homelessness, eviction rates of roughly 900 households per month, major barriers to affordable housing, food, and healthcare access, a higher employment rate with fewer people who can actually make ends meet. Public safety goes so far beyond the boundaries of the police budget that nearly always gets the resources that it demands. What would it mean to devote even a fraction of over the $60 million that we spend on police to things like eviction diversion or mobile mental health crisis first responders who could be called instead of the police? I was just in a conversation this evening with one of the housing attorneys at Legal Aid and found out that that organization, which is responsible for preventing hundreds of evictions, will only receive $200,000 in this year's budget. An increase of a mere $100,000 in that budget, only $300,000, would empower them to prevent up to 10% of evictions in Durham. Keeping people in their houses keeps them safe. Nonviolent de-escalation of mental health crises like the one Levante Biggs experienced when he was shot dead by police a few years ago would keep people safe. In addition to demanding a redirection of public safety funds to supporting the life-sustaining institutions that are the linchpin of our safety, our Durham Beyond Policing asks that the council support a community task force comprised of representatives of the numerous community organizations who have worked tirelessly for an alternative vision of our collective safety. That task force would come up with an alternative public safety budget to support programs and institutions that move us beyond towards the Durham Beyond Policing that so many of you expressed an interest in pursuing in your campaigns. Surveillance and punishment is not safety. Community support is safety. And we believe that we have the resources right here in this city to make that alternative vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Purefoy. Mr. John Morris. Mr. Morris, welcome. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is John Morris, 3 Quinton Place, Durham, North Carolina. I'm here on behalf of the Durham City Workers Union, UE 150. I'm going to say that I'm appreciative of the recent wage increase for full-time city workers. Today I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the part-time workers, employees that were left behind. My following comments represent statistics and facts dated February 5th, 2019 from the Economic Policy Institute Law Project and is comprised of a fact sheet titled Why Americans Need a $15 Minimum Wage. Today's low-wage workers earn less per hour than their counterparts did 50 years ago. We can afford to pay amongst the lowest paid workers in America today substantially more than what his or her counterpart was paid half a century ago. The economy has grown dramatically over the past 50 years, and workers are producing more from each hour of work, with productivity nearly doubling since the late 1960s. If the minimum wage had been raised at the same pace as productivity growth since the late 1960s, it would be over $20 an hour today. Asking for a $15 minimum per hour for part-time workers, city workers, isn't asking for too much. Raising wages on a regular basis helps families keep up with price inflation, helps put more money in the hands of the people who will readily spend it, and help the economy. Workers stay with employers longer instead of seeking out better paying work with other companies or private businesses, reducing the city's turnover, hiring, and training costs. I want to speak about a friend who used to work for the city in their former position while going to school before they had to seek employment elsewhere. Senior lifeguard, part-time without benefits, less than 20 hours per week, starting pay currently $12 to $13.51 hourly, Parks and Recreation. At a start of $12 per hour and a maximum of 20 hours per week for this position, the individual is earning $240 a week, which equates before taxes to $960 a month. The average cost of rent in Durham per the 2017 U.S. Census Bureau is $998. Can't imagine how they were able to get by other than begging for money from friends and parents while going to school and accruing serious debt. The city is supposed to support its residents, especially those that work for you. It's important to remember, in closing, for the managers and supervisors in our council, one of the most obvious, understood, but significant statements I can make. None of you would have a city to manage without us. The city workers, the lifeblood that keeps the city going in every capacity, not just full-time employees. Remember and respect all of us, or none of us. Let's raise part-time workers to $15 per hour.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tremaine Bazemore. Mr. Bazemore, welcome. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
All right, good evening. My name is Tremaine Bazemore, 16 Ledge Rock Way, Durham, North Carolina. I do not have anything formally written, but I am here today because as a part-time worker for the city of Durham, we are the magic for the full-time workers. And with an increase from $9 to $15 an hour will promote a better quality of life for part-time workers. So I'm here today to propose that for part-time workers today. Thank you.
Mr. Bazemore, thank you very much for being here. I'm going to now call the next group, and it will be in this order: Michael Crawford, Leonetti Batista, Donald Quick, Margaret Neely, Denise Gray, Keith Holliday, Sarah Vukolich, and Manju Rajendran. And I believe that's everyone. So we'll begin with Michael Crawford. Mr. Crawford, welcome. Please give us your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Michael Crawford, 6525 Burt Road, Fuquay Varina, North Carolina. So I'm here in support of the raising of part-time to $15 an hour as well. I'm a lake attendant at Lake Mickey, Little River Lake, Durham Parks and Recreation. I wanted to share a little bit about my experience of I've graduated college 5 years ago, and it seems to me that there's very much of a lack of enough full-time jobs to go around. So I've been working many part-time jobs to make ends meet for myself and my family. I also work in City of Raleigh at a park in Raleigh as a shift supervisor. And at that job, I'm making less than $10 an hour. And so what I wanted to share about was kind of an experience of having multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. Causes lots of headaches as far as travel, commuting. I drive about 50 minutes to get to my Durham Parks and Recreation job, and about 35 minutes to get to my Raleigh job. And so just lots of headache. And while I understand that part-time workers generally have less responsibilities than full-time, but we still deserve to make a living wage so we can afford the greater difficulties of commuting, working multiple jobs, as well as not having benefits, affording our own health insurance. And so living wage would empower us to be more reliant and stable employees, and that would contribute to the city logistically, financially, and in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. We'll now hear from Leonetti Batista. Ms. Batista, welcome, and you have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Leonetti Batista, 1717 West Lakewood Avenue, Durham, North Carolina. So my name is Leonetti. I work for the City of Durham with Durham Parks and Recreation, and I'm also part of the City Workers Union. I have been working for the City of Durham part-time for almost 2 years now. As I've worked with Durham Parks and Recreation, I've been fortunate not only to learn new skills and grow professionally, but also feel as though I've been contributing positively back to the community through our work, and that's something I really value. Working part-time, however, does come with some difficulties. This includes having inconsistent schedules on a weekly basis, paying for health insurance out of pocket, and being paid what I would consider less than a livable wage. As a result, myself and many others have had to work more than one job, ending each week feeling overworked and yet still financially stressed. In order to continue my commitment to DPR, I've had to work 2 other jobs, so 3 in total, in order to fill that gap to reach an income that's livable, with student loans, monthly housing expenses, insurance to pay for, gas and food, and lastly, an attempt to save for my future. Working 2 other jobs is the compromise I personally had to make in order to continue working for DPR. One of those establishments that I worked at was the coffee shop Caffeinate on Duke Street, and due to the tragedy.
Take your time.
I no longer have that income, which provided for half of my monthly income, more than half. The only reason that I'm able to stay afloat at this time is due to the generosity of others and donations. Sorry. So although that has helped immensely, I remain worried about what I need to do next to meet the bare minimum financially. I believe that increasing the minimum wage for part-time workers to $15 an hour at least is essential, not only for someone to avoid a situation as my own, but also that all part-time workers have the opportunity to reasonably manage the financial hardships we currently face. And ultimately, it would give us the ability to improve our quality of life. I think I can say for myself and others, whether we're working full-time or part-time, it hasn't changed the commitment we've all made to working for the city of Durham. We're committed to the betterment of Durham, and I'd like to ask the city to reciprocate that commitment by increasing our wage to one that's livable, or otherwise $15 an hour. Sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Batista. And Ms. Batista, we appreciate your being here and understand the emotion that that presentation involved, and thank you for being here. Donald Quick. Mr. Quick, welcome. Please give us your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Donald Quick. My address is 3415 Freeman Road, Durham, North Carolina. I'm here on behalf of Durham City Workers Union, UE 150. I just want to express, this thing about the $15 an hour. I feel like, they really do deserve it, because when people go to the park, when your grandkids go, when kids go to the park and see how beautiful these parks are, it's not just the full-time people doing it, it's the part-time people too. Now, we all say the workers, but because they part-time, nothing should be took away from them. We all workers. We all boots on the ground. We all go out here and we try to beautify the city, the parks, different things, the streets, whatever we do, So my concern is, yes, I feel like they should get $15 an hour. And my thing is, I hope that, they're able to get $15 an hour because they really deserve it. These are not kids that stay at home. These are grown men and women. And a lot of them can't afford to pay their bills on what they have. This young lady just stood up here and shed her tears. To me, it should prick somebody's heart to say, this is real. And the way the city is booming and growing, and we can't afford it, come on, man. I mean, I see it every day. Every day I'm out here working. Buildings going up, construction going on. But we don't have the money to give part-time workers. I think we really need to step back and take a look at things, man, because these workers deserve it. They deserve it. We get out here and we work hard. Not only us, Parks and Rec, all of us, all city workers. And yeah, we did get it. We did get compensated, but you can't leave them behind. Please, I hope y'all consider this $15 an hour wage for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quick. We'll now hear from Margaret Neely.
The next 3 people are not able to make it. Ms. Neely, who's an amazing 90-year-old woman. Her great-granddaughter broke a bone. She's like a DPR advocate, and she was going to come speak in solidarity and will not make it. Keith and Denise are stuck working right now. Ms. Denise is 68 years old, has been working for DPR for 12 years and makes $11 an hour. She wanted to come and is unfortunately at Campus Hills right now. So
I believe that means you're up, Ms. Vukolich. Welcome.
Yes, that's me. Okay. My name is Sarah Vukolich. I live at 710 Underwood Ave. I work part-time for the City of Durham in Parks and Recreation. I want to just briefly thank members of the Durham Workers Assembly and the Durham City Workers Union, full-time workers in the City Workers Union who came just in solidarity, as well as the Workers Assembly. And I want to just also quickly, as a member of the City Workers Union myself, support the other proposals and demands that are being made on the budget around pushing back against increasing the police forces and proposing alternatives instead that actually would contribute to public safety. In terms of what we're asking for, which is just a living wage as part-time workers, I have spoken to dozens of part-time workers over the past couple of weeks. As of April, there were 146 part-time workers making less than $15 an hour. We're all in DPR, the most public-facing department. We are, the public face of the city. And part-time workers, as much as full-time workers, are playing that role. You've heard from a few people. You've gotten some emails. I sent you a long email kind of about some of the interactions I've been having with people who are struggling to make ends meet, who are borrowing between paychecks, who are having to work many jobs, other low-wage jobs, of which this is one of. This is another low-wage job that people are stringing together to make ends meet, and it shouldn't be that way. To my fellow workers who are here, I just want to say, and who also have been participating in other ways in this effort, I just want to say that this is really amazing considering how spread out we are, how difficult it is for us to connect with each other across all the different rec centers and all the different schedules, to really be having these conversations now that we're having in order to, as you have asked us to do, to push you all to make the budget more fair. I'm just impressed and really honored to be standing here with my coworkers. And to you all, the City Council and City Management, I just want to say that we expect more from you and we need more from you. We put you in office, the organized community put you in office to do right by the City of Durham and its people and its workers. And as many people have said, I think considering the difficulties of being a part-time worker, constantly changing schedules, getting your hours cut with no notice, so much flexibility is asked of us. I think a living wage is the least that the city could offer to its part-time workers who are really doing a service to the city as much as full-time workers. We know the city can afford this. We're calling on you to exercise your power. Finally, in my last 10 seconds, I just want to say, in a second, I'm going to deliver these petitions to the city clerk of part-time workers from across the city. We have about 100 people who have signed on to this petition from all the different rec centers, all the different parts of DPR, representing all of your lowest paid, least valued workers that really need more from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vukolich. Manju Rajendran, welcome. You have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Manju Rajendran, and I live at 2112 Summit Street. I've lived in Durham for 20 years. I am a woman of color. I'm a mother. I've been doing community organizing in Durham for a long time.
Anju, could you step back from the mic?
Is that better? Yeah. I've lived in Durham for 20 years. I'm a woman of color. I'm a mother. I've been doing community organizing in Durham for a long time, and I do not want one penny of our public funds to be used to hire more police officers. For us, it's a life or death question. Every coin that we spend on policing and militarization is taken away from life-affirming services, fighting fires, ending homelessness, establishing living wages for all city workers, creating affordable housing, repairing homes, addressing climate change, and the like. I'm part of Durham Beyond Policing, a grassroots coalition that includes BYP 100, Southerners on New Ground, Demilitarized Durham to Palestine, Jewish Voice for Peace, Communities in Partnership, All of Us or None, Spirit House, Harm Free Zone, and Sanctuary Beyond Walls, among others. We believe that simply hiring some smaller number of police officers than proposed will not help Durham enough. We know that Durham residents will live in greater peace and safety if we invest in real long-term solutions. Our broad coalition of deeply committed grassroots organizations is here to ask our mayor, our council members, and our city staff to please say no to any new police officers. We want our city funds to be used responsibly to build long-term solutions that generate healthy relationships in households, offer urgently needed resources to our neighborhoods. That's the fabric of real community safety. A few weeks ago, we packed City Hall to urge our council to turn down the police chief's initial request for a serious increase in police officers over the next 3 years. An idea was proposed by Nia Wilson, co-director of Spirit House, the creation of a community-led safety task force made up of the very folks who've been creating alternatives to policing and incarceration right here in Durham for decades. Many of them are sitting in this room. As we honor Gun Violence Awareness Day today, I ask you as the mother of a 3-year-old to consider what it means to continue to solve all of our problems with more policing, more guns, and more militarization. This year's budget is a vital opportunity to invest in thriving futures for communities of color and all of Durham's neighbors instead of more policing. Thanks for making the right choice.
Thank you. Thank you all in the public for being here tonight. We appreciate all of your comments, and we're listening. We take them very seriously. All right, we will now move on to general business agenda public hearings. Item 32, resolution approving the issuance by the Capital Trust Agency of its revenue bonds. Provision Cares Proton Therapy Center, Durham Project Series 2019. Let me also just say to those who were here, we do have a public hearing on June the 3rd. If you have not been heard and you would like to be heard, at that time we will be welcoming any and all comments on the budget. All righty. Ms. Desiderio, I believe you're up.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. I'm Emily Desiderio, the Treasury Manager in the Finance Department. This is a public hearing for purposes of the Federal Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, also known as TEFRA, as required by Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code, regarding the possible issuance by the Capital Trust Agency of one or more series of its revenue bond, Series 2019, in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $115 million. The proceeds of the bonds will be loaned to PCPT Durham, LLC, a North Carolina limited liability company for the purpose of financing an approximate 34,500 square foot, 2-story proton therapy center to be known as Provision Cares Proton Therapy Center, which will be located on the campus of Duke University's Lenox Baker Children's Hospital, 3000 Irwin Road, Durham, North Carolina. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Durham Herald Sun as required by applicable law. The city has no obligation to repay any of these bonds, nor will the issuance of these bonds have any financial impact on the city. The city council is being asked to approve this item only because of federal tax law, and the fact that the project being financed is located within Durham city limits. As such, the staff has not reviewed the details of the project nor evaluated its financial feasibility. Representatives from the applicant's financing team are here and are available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. You all have heard the report from staff. I'm going to declare this public hearing open, and first I'm going to ask if there are any questions or comments from members of the council. Hearing none, is there anyone in the public that wishes to be heard on this item? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to be heard on this item? All righty, I'm going to declare this public hearing closed, and the matter is now before the council. We've been asked to adopt a resolution approving the issuance by the Capital Trust Agency of its Revenue Bond Series 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Do we need a second motion, Ms. Desiderio, to grant permission for the use of the proceeds to finance the provision and so forth?
No, we don't.
All right. So you've got what you need? Thank you very much.
Yes, we're all set.
Thank you. Thank you. Made it easier for you this time, didn't we? All righty. Thank you. Now we'll move to item 33, City Code text amendments, revisions regarding the stormwater performance standards for development. Mr. Bolick, welcome.
Thank you. I'm Shay Bullock with the Public Works Department. First, I want to certify that the public notice requirements have been met or exceeded. Public notice was published in the Herald Sun on April 28, 2019, and on May 5th, 2019. Notice was further placed in 2 different city web pages, the Public Hearings and Notices webpage, and the Stormwater Development Review Important Announcements webpage. The public hearing and notice was also placed along with proposed ordinance amendments in a black notebook in the lobby for inspection here at City Hall. This agenda item and public hearing to amend stormwater performance standards for development is being brought forth due to the need to update the city code to ensure compliance with state law and federally required NPDES permit and Durham Stormwater Management Plan. Our current stormwater performance standards for development have been effective since July 6, 2012. The ordinance in 2012 was revised specifically to include requirements for the Jordan Lake and Falls Lake nutrient strategies. The Falls Lake rules remain valid. Since these rules were passed, there have been no fewer than 11 session laws modifying the Jordan Lake rules, delaying them, making voluntary implementation of the stormwater management for new development illegal under state law, and ultimately required Jordan Lake to be restudied. At the time that this session law, which prevents entities from voluntarily implementing Jordan Lake nutrient requirements for new development, became effective, our federal permit, which we are mandated to follow, included language in it regulating the Jordan nutrient strategy for new development. Since our NPDES permit requirements were federally based, this conflicted with state law, and the city was required to comply with the federal permit. Thus, we continued to implement the Jordan nutrient strategy for new development. Our permit has since been revised and reissued effective October 10th, 2018. This permit removed all references to the Jordan nutrient strategy for new development and included specific language about maintaining our ordinance to the extent allowable under state law. Subsequently, this triggered revisions to the city's stormwater management plan, which was approved by North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality on April 24, 2019. Since the city no longer has authority to continue to implement stormwater management for new development under the Jordan nutrient strategy, city staff drafted amendments to the city code to comply with our new federal permit and state law. These revisions do not mean that Jordan Lake does not have any stormwater regulations, as the void for nutrient requirements will be filled with NPDES Phase 2 stormwater requirements. Specifically, these regulations will require the removal of total suspended solids, which are both organic and inorganic solids in the stormwater runoff that acts as surrogates for nutrients. This regulation is what the majority of governments throughout the state that have stormwater regulations must comply with. Nutrient removal still occurs from treated stormwater runoff. However, the amount of nutrient removal is not accounted for. No minimum on-site nutrient removal is required, nor does nutrient loading have to be offset by purchasing nutrient credits from nutrient mitigation banks. Generally speaking, most development in the Jordan Basin will receive stormwater treatment under the TSS-based stormwater requirements. In addition to the proposed amendments to address Jordan Lake, there are also significant revisions to comply with other state legislation that prevent regulatory authorities from requiring stormwater treatment of pre-existing development or to any project where there is no increase in impervious surface. City staff also took the opportunity to draft ordinance revisions to propose amendments to improve efficiency, provide more clarity, and to ensure the text fully aligns with city policy. In closing, city staff recommends this ordinance be adopted. We'll be glad to answer any questions you have concerning these proposed ordinance amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Bolick. You've heard the report from staff. I'm going to declare this public hearing open, and I have a question, and then I'll ask council colleagues if they have any questions as well. A couple of years ago, I believe, we took up a similar matter when but at that time, I believe our NPDES permit was, we felt, in conflict with state law, and we had a discussion on that, and we basically stuck with the permit, is my recollection. Is that true?
That's correct. We went for guidance on that, and we were directed not to amend or revise our permit, let the state run its course and reissue our permit.
So now that permit has been reissued,
That's correct.
And we're trying to not only get in conformity with state law, but we're also now got to get in conformity with the permit.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And those are no longer in conflict as they were at that time.
That's correct.
Okay. That's what I thought. Thank you very much. Council colleagues, any questions for Mr. Bullock at this point? Councilmember Reese.
Mr. Mayor, your recollection of that was just about the same as mine. As I recall, in the misty deeps of time 2 years ago, I was a little bit ornery about this.
Wasn't the first time, Councilmember
See
Reese.
the city manager nodding, as if he has a memory of that as well. I just want to thank staff for bringing this forward now. I think the point I was trying to make last time is that we had at least some legal cover for what we were doing. Now we no longer do. I agree that we need to get into compliance, and appreciate you bringing this forward. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember. I don't remember your ordinance being any more ornery than you usually are.
Goes without saying, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Freeman.
I just had one question. I just wanted to know, in the alternatives, you noted that it would be MPDES Phase 2 post-construction requirements. I just wanted to know what the difference was between what you're proposing as a recommendation and that alternative, because that's the only difference I'm noting.
The alternative is our recommendation that will be included in the amendments to the ordinance.
Okay.
It differs from what was there prior because it's not nutrient-based. It looks at a different pollutant, which is total suspended solids, sediment, that is a surrogate for nutrients. So you're still achieving nutrient reduction, but you're not accounting for it, you're not calculating it.
I got you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other questions there is one person who signed up to speak. Mr. Tim Sivers. Welcome, sir. You have 3 minutes. Please give us your name and address.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tim Sivers with Horvath Associates, 16 Consultant Place, Durham, North Carolina. Just real quickly, I wanted to come tonight and encourage the approval of the stormwater ordinance. Shay and his staff has tremendously worked on updating this ordinance to not only become into federal standards, but bring it up to something that is beneficial for our city. So I'm just here encouraging, supporting staff and encouraging the approval of this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to be heard on this matter? This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else here tonight who would like to be heard on this matter? If not, are there any more questions or comments by council members? I felt that our vote a couple of years ago put the department in a pretty tricky position, and appreciate you all negotiating it between that time and this time. But understand the consistency that you all need and appreciate your bringing it to us, Mr. Bullock. Thank you. All right, colleagues, any more comments or questions? If not, I'm going to declare this public hearing closed, and the matter is now back before the council. We've been asked to adopt an ordinance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adopt the ordinance amending the stormwater performance standards. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bullock.
Thank you.
We'll now move to item 14, which was pulled from the consent agenda. And this is ordinance to adopt water and sewer rates for 2019 and 2020. Ms. Westbrook, welcome. Council member.
Oh, sorry.
Item
Just
14.
reeling on the last vote. Councilman Reese. This was on the water rate. I just wanted to I don't know how you, to read or to bring back up the conversation we had at work session around the rate and how you were working with folks to make sure that there was some releases in place to make sure that folks knew and were aware, because I get the feeling that they're not. And so I just wanted to make sure that I gave you a chance to say what it was that you mentioned before. And I don't have my notes because I'm having some technical difficulties, so bear with me, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are you asking, just to be clear, that how people are going to be informed of the?
No, specifically, Ms. Westbrook mentioned how there was actual folks in the office who would work with someone who couldn't afford to pay their rate or pay the increase or what have you.
I see.
Vicki Westbrook, Department of Water Management Assistant Director. I mentioned a couple of things during the work session. One of the things that we offer for customers is the ability to have our water efficiency conservation analysts come in and conduct water use assessments to help determine why they may have a water leak or other high bill, and provide them with insights into ways that they can cut back on how much water they're using, which can indeed cut down on their water bills. That is one concrete example, plus being out at public events and providing that information year-round. The other thing we talked about was the ability for customers to apply for leak adjustments if they can demonstrate that they do have a high water bill due to a leak that they've had repaired. They can furnish their repair statement or furnish proof that they have repaired it themselves, and we will provide an adjustment once their bill returns to normal. We do wait until it returns to normal to show that they have indeed taken the necessary steps. Then the third aspect was to provide customers with avenues that they can seek for financial resources to help pay bills when they become too stressed to be able to afford them themselves. We work with DHHS, the social services folks, to manage that program. There is a hardship account. Customers can take a voucher over there to show what their water bill is, and they get assistance, and that is paid. And folks who don't qualify for that service can also avail themselves of a list of community resources that we maintain and try to keep up to date for people who will do that, all sorts of organizations throughout the community.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that there is some relief in the process available, noting that it's limited. There is some, and I just want to make sure that we're paying attention to this as we go forward, noting that there may be some inequity issues that may arise, and so just keeping it on everyone's radar.
Thank you, Council Member.
Mayor, I just wanted to thank Ms. Westbrook for putting that information on the Water Department website about the odor of the water. It was very, very helpful, and it's gotten a lot better since then, so thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, we need a motion to adopt an ordinance changing the rates for water and sewer service.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. Our final item is item 15, the $95 million general obligation bond referendum. Councilmember Freeman.
Thank you. I just wanted to touch on, I did receive the mayor's letter earlier today, and I appreciate, spelling out the numbers and where we landed at the 95 million, noting that I think this is a great way to move forward, and it's a great step, but I'm concerned about the timing and recognizing that we're moving forward with a lot of increases. I'm also concerned about folks who are fixed income, and I don't know exactly what levers or what reliefs will need to be put in place, but I do know that I feel a tension and an uncomfortability about moving this forward right now. And so I've shared that with the mayor. I asked that we wait a little bit longer, which would be like in the next year's cycle. And I understand that that's not what he would like to do, but I just wanted to make sure that I noted it here, that I would not be voting in support because I would like to make sure that we do have an economic development plan in place. And then also noting that there has been a push from the Federal Housing Authority to create a desegregation plan for most of the Housing Authority sites across the country. And what we're seeing is this great displacement of people who have lived in those units, and predominantly they're African American. And I'm struggling with that tension and the uncomfortability of moving forward right now. But I do understand the spirit and the work that needs to happen in order to get to this point. I'm just having a little bit of an issue right now. So
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All right. We now have before us to adopt a resolution directing the publication of notice of intention to apply to the local government commission for approval of bonds, and to adopt a resolution authorizing the finance director to apply to the LGC for the approval of the city's proposed general obligation bond financing, and to adopt a resolution making certain statements of fact concerning the proposed bond issue, and I assume we can do all those at once. Thank you, Ms. Desiderio. I'm seeing a nodded head. I hear a motion. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded that we adopt these resolutions. Madam Clerk, will you please open the vote? Please close the vote.
The motion passes 6-1 with Councilmember Freeman voting no.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, thank you for your good work tonight. We'll give a great report to your, to the city clerk. Thank you all, did a great job. There being no more business to come before this body, I'm sorry, there is some more.
Maybe. I don't know if somebody's here waiting to be sworn in.
Oh, is there someone here waiting to be sworn in?
Do you want, no? Okay.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you anyway. Thank you for the catch there. There being no further business to come before this body, I'm going to declare this meeting adjourned at 9:19.